अगर संकल्प लेकर के चल पड़ते हैं, एक दिशा निर्धारित करके चल पड़ते हैं, कदम से कदम मिलाकर, कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर अगर चल पड़ते हैं, तो चुनौतियां कितनी भी क्यों ना हो, अभाव की मात्रा कितनी ही तीव्र क्यों ना हो, संसाधनों के लिए जूझने की नौबत हो तो भी हर चुनौती को पार करते हुए हम समृद्ध भारत बना सकते हैं। हम 2047 विकसित भारत का लक्ष्य प्राप्त कर सकते हैं।
See, as I already mentioned, the budget will have to focus on the long-term aspirations of India and Indians.
We have actually worked to build a good relationship with the United States. They have also done it. I'm not saying only we have done it. Over the past 2 decades, it's been a relationship where we built from one strength to another. That cannot be forgotten. So people of India feel very hurtful when such comments come out in public. But we've kept our calm. Economic or diplomatic decisions are for the country to take. Where I purchase anything, oil or anything else, from is my decision. Where I purchase from is my decision. It's our country's decision. Yes. Our leadership's decision. And those decisions are not taken if it's going to hurt our economy. If buying oil from A instead of B is going to be cost ineffective, meaning if I buy from A instead of B and I end up paying more for that, it's not good for my economy. Instead, buying from B makes me save some money because it is affordable, it is less expensive than buying it from A. I will have to decide. That's a decision of my country. It can't be that somebody else would tell me, don't buy from A or B, buy from C. It's my decision making in the interest of my country's economy, in the interest of my country's diplomacy, and moreover, it's not done in stealth.
No.
Everybody knew about it. And the products after refining from this crude have been purchased by everybody.
Including Ukraine, including Europe.
And therefore, I feel it's a sad day that we are being singled out on that.
Okay, so thank you, Surabhi, for having me on your show. My opinion is that budget is a policy document. It's a policy measure that is taken by the government with a view on the long term. It cannot be specific to a particular event that has taken place or something that is generally supposed to be transient in nature. So, see, we are not here to say that the tariffs will be here for good and this is the new world that we are going to live with. The discussions are going on. The bilateral trade agreement between India and US, the discussions, what I read from the newspapers, they're kind of over, bulk of it is done, and it's just that the final signature or final consent from the president and of course our prime minister is pending, but bulk of it is done. So it's just a matter of time when the stage is set for the agreement to be signed, and then the tariffs will be behind us. See, so budget cannot be focused on tariffs. What happens when you created a budget with focus on tariff and the tariffs are not there? What happens to the budget document? So I'll tell you what, we grew up in a different India. In the old days, I mean, I recall in the evening we used to sit in front of the TV and we used to listen to the then finance minister present the budget, and the budget used to be something like this, that price of tax on matchbox has gone down, price on certain quality of toothpaste has gone down, and some premium toothpaste has gone up, premium soaps have gone up, cigarette prices have gone up, gas cylinder prices are down by 1 to something like this. We never in the past had a situation wherein there was a goal, the 2047 Viksit Bharat. Now, this is a fantastic goal that the government has said. Viksit Bharat. We are talking of, if you look at various, articles or various research reports done by some of the big names in the West, then you'll see a number that, by 2047 India will be $30 trillion. Some say it will be $40 trillion. So on and so forth. So we are actually moving now in a direction as a country, as a unit together to achieve a goal. So the budget will have to focus on this aspect of the journey. This mission Viksit Bharat will have to be taken into account majorly into the budget. The news flow related items, particularly related to the labor intensive sectors which have been affected by the US tariffs, they can be addressed even outside of the budget. They can be addressed inside the budget. That's not important. But the budget cannot be something that will be fixated to the US tariffs. One point I want to mention over here is if you look at pre-January 2025, we had a situation wherein India had a most favored nation kind of a status. Our tariffs were in lower single digits, but at the same time, the tariffs on China were around 19.5%. Post June, when the tariffs were announced, the tariffs announcement started, we also read that the US is going to impose 100% tariff on China, and it is going to be the most charged nation. But that something did not happen. US did not have the courage to put tariffs beyond a certain threshold on China because of reciprocity. Now, China has, of course, is a major, office, workshop of the world. It has rare earths, but ultimately the Chinese inputs or the Chinese contribution to the US economy and its impact on the US economy had a major role in deciding that Chinese tariffs went from 19% to 37%, whereas in India's case, they went from a low single digit, like 3-4%, to 50%. In fact, some of the sectors have tariffs going right up to 62%. Why did that happen? Why did India move such a huge scale from low single digit to even as high as 62%, whereas China is going to have just up to 37%. Those are the aspects that need to be addressed in the budget to make India's industry, India's manufacturing sector, India's export sector resilient, and the world dependent on it in such a manner that whenever somebody decides to put tariffs or put some unilateral measures on us, they should be made to think twice. That should be the goal of the budget. That should, and more than that, ultimately this all converges into one point, which is Viksit Bharat. So, if you notice, in the last year, after the tariffs were announced to give some support to consumption, India has been running on only one engine for many years now. We have been trying to, and the government has been trying to say, that it's high time the private sector steps in and unleashes animal spirits. You would have seen the various senior officials of the government, ministers coming out and saying that it's high time now the industry, the private sector takes over the mantle from the government. This economy is running majorly on the public capex. That's the government of India stepping inside and doing a capex of nearly 3% of GDP. Now, this is not sustainable. At some point in time, industry has to move in. So. Plus, last year we saw the tariffs go up. So you had a situation wherein the income tax rates have gone down. They've been rationalized over the last 1-2 years. Last year you also saw the GST rates getting rationalized. The idea was to basically, prior to that, you had already seen the corporate tax rate go down to almost like 25%. So every bit of effort the government has taken to ensure that there is enough firepower in the economy, on the consumer side, as well as on the industry side, to put the capex and then take over and move ahead, because there is only so much that the government can do. While I think this year we could expect another 10% increase in capex. So from 11 lakhs, we could see it going to as high as around 12.4 lakh crores from 11 lakh crores. But at some point in time, the industry has to step inside. And one more thing I think the government has done, and I think that cannot be ignored, is the fact that we have stuck to a disciplined glide path of bringing the fiscal deficit down, fiscal deficit to GDP down. This year we will see around 4.4, and in this budget I do expect further consolidation, and it can go down to around 4.3% of GDP. What this essentially does is it takes away government pressure on the money markets, and it leaves enough capital. So what you see today is the cost of capital in India has been coming down systematically, and this is a function of that. Government, sticking to its fiscal prudence. So government, I think, in my opinion, for many years now, last 5-10 years, whatever, has been doing it, particularly post-COVID part, 100%. They've been doing their bit, to get the act together, to get the private sector together. For some reason, it has not taken place, but definitely from the government side, full marks, and they've done everything. See, as I already mentioned, the budget will have to focus on the long-term aspirations of India and Indians. We have to, so despite the fact that we are a $4 trillion economy today, if you look at it on the basis of per capita, that number drops. So from fifth, we go down below 100. So we need to really move up significantly, and for that, whatever needs to be done will have to be done. So whether it is infrastructure, whether it is, we have a decently large defense budget. So I think the focus will continue to remain on indigenization of our defense infrastructure. So all that is needed to focus on that goal will have to be done. Second point over here is, why did we not manage to overcome some of the challenges that were thrown at us because of tariffs or because of various other reasons? We have also one more issue at our hand, which is our trade deficit with China, which is beyond $100 billion now. You have seen China has global trade surplus has crossed nearly $1 trillion. So China is marching ahead on that aspect. So we need to bring down our trade deficit with China. We need to ensure that our manufacturing, our exports get a decent amount of boost. So all that is needed to take us in that direction. I think the focus of that budget will be towards that, and naturally so. That is how it should be. One more point that I mentioned to you is about the labor-intensive sectors which have got affected. Those, I think, should receive some special mention. But other than that, I think we all should be happy as Indians that we have set ourselves on a path called Viksit Bharat 2047, which we are talking of around 30-40 trillion economy. I think it's the first time that I see collectively the country moving and putting an ambitious, goal in front of it and working towards it. If you don't put a plan to it, it's just a wish. See, one aspect to look at is, despite the kind of arm twisting, the kind of rhetoric that we have heard from various entities in the US establishment, we haven't responded to that in word to word. We have stuck to our path. There was an element of pressure to open our agriculture sector, our dairy sector. We said we will not. These are some of the no-go areas. So we have faced higher tariffs as a function of that. They've gone up. They were from first they were 26%, then they were hiked to 50%. We've stuck to our path. We have been active in our negotiations on the bilateral. We've gone ahead with. It's not just US. We've gone ahead and negotiated free trade agreements with various countries. We are expecting some news on the India-EU free trade agreement. We've done it with Australia. So we have moved ahead fearlessly, and we are doing what is necessary for our benefit. So even if you look at the Russian oil issue, now we have bought it because we need to meet the energy requirements of 1.4 billion people. We are not here because we want to antagonize somebody. It is available to us. It is at a lower price point. Initially, in the previous regime, we were actively told to go and pick it up from Russia. Now the new regime says, whether it was told, not told, they are not ready to look at it. But we continue to do it. I mean, I was looking at the news just last week, and I think some of the government PSUs still continue to pick up oil, because that's what we need. We need to meet the energy requirement. So whatever is needed to be done to ensure that we keep growing, because 4 trillion means nothing when it comes to 1.4 billion people. We need to grow. We need to grow beyond where we are. Yes, we have done significantly well. The one number I want to leave with your viewers, and it is an important number, is while you look at GDP numbers, when you look at on a per capita number, the right number to look at it is on a purchasing power parity. Now, on a purchasing power parity basis, we definitely look good, much better than what we are today. I mean, it looks like, we are at 3,000 per capita on a absolute basis, but on a purchasing power parity basis, we are close to about 12,000-13,000 USD. So we definitely are better, but we need to cross a certain threshold, and for that, whatever is needed is being done. We are doing what is right for our country. I think patience will pay, and things will go in our favor. I'm optimistic. So, Surbhi, I would not want to go down and sit over here and predict where gold is headed. But one thing is for sure, what has triggered this rally is nothing but the confiscation of reserves of Russia during the previous administration. Now, that move was single-handedly responsible for central banks across the world, including in India, to set up and take a notice to check that, you would have tomorrow face the same situation, and you don't want to be in that. So all of a sudden, you had central bank gold purchases move up by nearly 2.5, 3 times their average for last 10 years. So that's what you've seen in the last 2 years. The central banks moving inside. That essentially triggered the gold rally. And then later on, you have seen people also move inside. Basically, the lack of faith of the smart, informed investors, including central banks, on the their faith on the US dollar and the US economy is basically resulting in this rally. See, gold is a store of value. Gold is something that you move inside, an asset you move inside when there is risk off, when there is fear. So there is fear. There is fear not on India. There is fear on Europe. There's fear on Europe, which is hugely dependent on US, and US on its own, because we've seen the kind of US outstanding debt, and the US outstanding debt has to be seen also from the perspective of the unfunded liabilities. That's a staggeringly high number. So people are worried, and when people are worried, they go into safe assets. So you're seeing gold, you're seeing silver, you're seeing, in fact, the impact of that, the spillover impact of that also moving into other metals. You saw some rally in Bitcoins also, though I don't understand Bitcoins at all. But the point is, what you are seeing over here is fear driving it more than anything else. And the one trigger that caused it was the Russian reserve, the Russian assets that were impounded. I'll absolutely look forward to the budget presented, which is to be presented on Feb 1. It's more than anything else, as a student of economics, as a student of markets, as a student of public behavior, human behavior. It's a classic document to read and to listen to the speech. How challenging things are for the government and how they navigate. I mean, last 5, 6, 7 years that we've seen the budget being presented by Madam, and every year there has been an element of something more despite the challenges, and we've seen that right through the COVID days and subsequently, and we've seen how the revenue expenditure has been put under control, the subsidies have been put under control, and year on year we see capital expenditure go up, very focused, and it's not that things are easy. The external environment every year in the last 5, 6, 7 years has been extremely tough, but India probably has been why probably, I'll drop the word probably, India has been the only country which has been a fast learner from its past, corrected its mistakes. The others kept on focusing and pushing the economy by stimulus, by giving doles, by using the consumption-led path. But India took the painful or arduous path of investment-led growth, and we stuck to that.
Prime Minister Modi, when in the budget of 2025, gave income tax relief till 12 lakhs, did not hesitate for a moment saying my revenues will go down. Because he believed that money should reach the hands of the people, they should have some money left in their hands after all the taxation to decide on where they want to spend, whether for the daughter's education or for the son to set up a business or something else, or for them to build a new room to their house, or to buy some aspirational goods, whether bigger refrigerator, bigger TV, whatever, or save or put in the stock market. He didn't hesitate saying I won't give this because my revenue will come down.